We can. So our next speaker is Courtney Woods. She's a wonderful mom in our community, and I'll let her introduce herself as well. But she's here to kind of talk about her experience with a really wonderful fundraiser she's been doing for many years now called Landon's Lab. So we hope you guys can kind of listen and learn from her and maybe think about some ways that you might be able to fundraise too. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. As Brittany mentioned, my name is Courtney Woods, and my son is Landon. So he is about to turn 4. So we just actually this past weekend did his 4th lap, but it kind of started from he was diagnosed when he was 6 weeks old with Gold syndrome. And at that point, there was, I think, only a couple hundred cases in the world. So we kind of jumped into like how we could help, what we could do. And out of that, it started with Landon's lap. And so if you want to go to the next slide, I can show you the picture there on the left with everyone with umbrellas was actually the first lap that we did for him. So it pretty much stems from, it started with everyone asking how they could help, what they could do. And so we decided to meet at a local park. We picked a date around his birth date, and we're just going to take a lap around the park. And then, yeah, so like I said, it rained the first time. There was about 150 people. We were under a small pavilion. Everyone brought their, umbrellas, their jackets, and we still did it in the pouring down rain. And the first year there was, like I said, 150 people. Then we had raised $12,000 that first year. And so it really was at that point in time low cost. We met at the park. We, paid for the pavilion, which was pretty budget friendly with everything, and we just walked. And then as part of that, we also would like get shirts made, and we had reached out to local businesses, kind of shared a little bit of our story to see if they would donate a certain cost per shirt back to the organization to see, kind of explain the story and what we were doing. And just, I think like out of all of it, the biggest thing was like tapping into the resources, your network, your connections, as well as sharing our story.
Mm.
So I use social media a lot just to share updates about Landon and the different things that he goes through. And now, as it's grown and people have gone, they've brought their friends, they brought their family, their neighbors, whoever it might be. The second year we had over 170 people. We raised almost $15,000. And that time we kind of added in 50/50 ticket sales, and just each year it's kind of been additional things we've added just um, to try and see what works, what doesn't. And 2024 was 200 plus people. There we added in like raffle baskets, and we were so close to $20,000. We made it to like 19,600.
Mm.
And then this last year, it's been the biggest one yet. We tried to be more efficient with, reaching out to local businesses. I had a friend that's very good at marketing things. And so she created these flyers, again, just talking about what other people can do, what your network is good with, if it, between making shirts, coming up with people that may have tickets that they want to donate for a raffle item, or someone that is good at marketing. We don't turn away people that want to help. It's like, okay, great. How can you help and fit them into something that they're good at? And it may like this just was their time making these flyers for us and kind of keeping me more organized for the first time of just having things outside of my head. So she helped create these flyers. We reached out to local businesses, kind of made a way for people that couldn't be there still to participate. And then probably somewhat, annoying, but sharing things again over and over on social media so people know about it and come. And then we're still going to kind of accept donations through the rest of the month as well, just to celebrate his birthday. So we can still kind of just do it the month of his birthday. And that's kind of what's worked for us.
Mm.
And I think it's the next slide. Yeah, so this was a like more targeted document that we sent to local businesses as far as, if they wanted to be a sponsor. And we had a family pay for the event space that we used this year. And so it also made it cheaper in that aspect for us hosting it, having people donate like there was a donut place and they threw in extra donuts. And so just sharing with people, if they don't respond, they didn't respond. It wasn't, a big deal or anything, but there was more people, more businesses. Think about businesses also that you may support a lot, and we would ask them for gift cards for raffles, and more so asking and just sharing our story. There was a lot more people and donation items that we had for raffles, and more sponsorship options that we allowed this year as well. We had a friend that also helped with making the shirts, and certain companies wanted logos on shirts, so they had a higher amount to donate. And so just things like that we've learned throughout the last couple years. But honestly, it just started with a bunch of us going to a park, walking, talking about it, and showing people that were there how they could donate. And that started with over $10,000. So I'll pause there. I said a lot of things. If anyone has any, questions or things as well, I'm happy to answer about our experiences and what we've done.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Courtney. I really appreciate you sharing that. It's really, really inspiring, really.
Mm.
Thank you. Well, I think our next, since we don't have any questions, we have Beth, who recently became our committee leader for fundraising. She's a mom and she is just really knows a lot about fundraising. And so she's put together quite a few really wonderful resources for you guys and is going to share just some tips and more information.
Yeah, thank you, Brittany. And so I'm hoping to just kind of lay out some ideas to get people started with this fundraising process. We have a $30,000 goal to make this conference happen. But obviously, the more we raise, the more we can help families who wouldn't otherwise be able to access the conference. And Courtney, I so loved hearing just now that the first time you had your walk, you reached $12,000. Like a little bit can turn into a huge, huge win. And truly, if 10 people donate $100 a piece, we're already $1,000 of the way there, right? So there is no amount that doesn't count. With the one-to-one fundraising, maybe a like more comfortable and immediately accessible sort of way to get started with the fundraising process. And so just some ideas as we're getting started with this. If you're more comfortable or feel like the thing I can do right now is just ask people for donations, right? An event isn't something that I feel ready to do right now. Social media is obviously a really helpful tool in this instance, but also if you're not on social media or if you aren't using social media very much, if you have people's email addresses, email chains are still incredibly helpful. If you're in a workspace, think about sharing with your work community. Individual texts go a long way. Share at upcoming family holidays. But when you are fundraising, whether this is one-to-one fundraising or we're talking about events, what really matters is your why. If you think about like some of the organizations that you see people fundraise for regularly, like your local children's hospital, perhaps, or like if people who have done a breast cancer walk or something like that, people have a personal connection to that hospital or to that cause that gets them passionate and wanting to donate. With a rare disease like Gould syndrome, people aren't super familiar. And so your story helps them feel a sense of connection to the community, which then gives them that interest and that passion in donating to make an event like this happen and to drive research forward. So share your why and your own connection to Gould syndrome to help people understand what it is and why this is important. And also it's an opportunity for them to get to know you a little bit and your family and support you in that way. Broad asks on social media are wonderful, and we've put together some resources with some sample language that you can use. So you're not having to build the language totally from scratch. But the more you can directly ask individuals and share your story and ask them to support, the more likely folks are also to respond, because people might miss your social media post. And when you make a direct personal connection, people feel more personally responsible to respond to you. Even if they're not able to donate right now, there might be something else they can do to help you spread the word, right? And on the Gould Syndrome Foundation website, when you do go to make a donation, there's an option that says check for employer matching. Lots and lots of employers do donation matches. So that's a great, easy win for doubling funds. If you are feeling like you are ready to try an event, you don't need to do something like big and wild and out there, but rather bake sales and craft sales are a great way to make use of things that you might do in your hobby time. That could also help generate funds for this conference. I have a colleague in my office who she makes like little Scrabble piece ornaments that she sells for $10 a piece around the holidays to raise funds for her daughter's dance team, right? If your community has craft fairs, consider, if you bake, consider doing a booth and selling baked goods, or outside of your local market or grocery store are great places to post up. Or even just if you enjoy baking or crafting and you can share with friends and family, I'm fundraising for this, and selling cupcakes, and you can deliver them over time, right? It doesn't have to be a standalone event. Game tournaments are a fun way to unite people around a fun activity to do. Trivia nights as well. And trivia nights, board game tournaments, card game tournaments, these are things that pair really well with raffles or silent auctions. So you can be charging people to participate, but also there's a fun and engaging way to generate money while also giving people who don't want to compete a chance to donate and still be able to win. My community does a townwide yard sale every year, right? And they allow you to say if you're doing your yard sale for charity, and people are more inclined to come by, right? But yard sales in general, you can put a stake outside of your house to let people know that it's for a charity. And again, people more likely to stop. And another way for you to engage your community and let them offload things that they need to get rid of from their home. So this list of fundraising event examples is really just like a starting point. Courtney just shared her walk, which they paid for the pavilion the first time, but had very little overhead. Everything on this list can have tremendously low overhead, especially if you're willing to ask for help. When you are hosting any sort of event that needs an event space, places like breweries or other locations that could stand to make business off of the people attending will often give you the space for free. And anyone who walks into the space just to go to that venue has an opportunity to come join your event and learn more and also donate. Local businesses, like Courtney was saying, particularly businesses that you may patronize, are often willing to support with in-kind donations or monetary donations as well. Events that host 10 people matter. Events that host 100 people matter. But it's a great way, again, to unite the community around this cause and also invite people into your world so they can better understand what Gould syndrome is and how it affects you or affects your family, and really understand why this research and why this conference is going to be so important. If you are thinking that you might want to host an event, we can help with figuring out those logistics. So one of the resources we've developed is like a sample fundraising guide that walks through an actual sample event and the timeline for that and the budget and how much could stand to be raised. We're putting together a fundraising toolkit to help you get started with everything. So know that if this is something you think you want to try, but you've never done it before, there is support here to help you make that happen. So don't hesitate to reach out for that.